What up?
What's
I'm
up?
a head down. So I was sending a tweet saying we live.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Those Two Dads. We like to talk things all dadpreneur. So I'm Kyle. That's Josh. And we've all heard it before. Know your why and focus on that every single day, right? So you did the work and determined what your why is. You know it. And now you're working toward that every single day, right? But what does your why really say about you and who you are as a person deep down inside? So in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about that, about our own whys, why we started this podcast, why we continue to stay as consistent as we are, and what it means to us. So then we'll go on an even deeper talk about what a why really says about a person, and then what that can mean about that person's character. Maybe we'll even uncover some deep unknown roots about our own whys. Never know. So before we get going, though, we'd be grateful if you could hit the hearts, drop a hashtag live if you're live with us over on Facebook or on YouTube. Also drop the hashtag replay, catch it later. So be sure to tag or share these episodes with your favorite dad or mompreneur. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be alerted when we go live in the future or drop a new video. So we love helping and sharing with others, and we appreciate all the support and getting the word out. So what's up?
Dude,
what's up?
Well, we got some new bling. We got some new bling up there.
Look at that, man. Look at that.
So we are officially branded, I guess you could say. So
our podcast friends are going to have to go check out the YouTube channel.
Yes. So YouTube channel, www.those2dads.com. That'll take you straight to YouTube for now. We talked about it. We're probably going to be putting up a website eventually, but for now, that's where it goes. And who knows, maybe we'll do some other things with that. But we've got a little subscribe button out there. So if you haven't subscribed yet, we do new episodes at least a couple times a month, usually depending on timing. And we've got some really cool stuff coming up in the future. We've got actually some cool interviews lined up. I'm
really excited about those. We got about 4 or 5 that are lined up, maybe a couple others after that. So
yeah,
some really successful entrepreneurs, online entrepreneurs, business builders, authors.
Yeah, we got an author coming on with
pretty cool stuff, man. Stuff I wouldn't have thought a year ago we'd be getting into.
Dude, and we're getting close to that. We're getting close to that year mark. We're about a month off. And I will say that it's been a sweet ride, and it's getting sweeter. It's getting much, much sweeter. And so I'm looking forward to that for sure. But yeah, and what's really cool about some of the stuff we've got coming up is, so this author, we actually just talked to him today, and absolutely amazing guy. I love what he's doing. And it's something that I just could never have imagined would ever fall on our lap. I mean, it literally fell on our lap. And so it's just awesome. But so
we'll get into him in a couple of weeks.
Yep, you'll see him. We'll see him next month, most likely. So, but so talking about the why, and yes, I know every course you've probably been on has said number one thing: figure out your why. Right? Why are you doing what you do? Why is it that you get up in the morning? Why is it that you make sure that you're putting yourself out there in front of people? And it is important, right? And it's extremely valuable for people to understand why they're doing what they're doing and what that means to them in their core, right? And so
hands down,
it's a very big passion area of mine, because I guess I'm a newfound wire, I guess. I don't know how you want to say it, but I never knew that was important, right? I went up there and
what's up, Paul?
The working world. Oh, what's up, Paul? Hey, yo. So dudes, or dads. We're dude dads, dad dudes. Oh, we can't use dude dad. Nope, that's branded.
Easy, dude. You're gonna get us copyright strike.
No, we didn't mean that. Sorry. But no, I used to just get up and go to work and just do whatever. And, I just pound the pavement and, hit the grind.
Just kind of meander through life.
Yeah. Just kind of meander. I never really, I knew I wanted to take care of my family and stuff, but I never really had a why. I never really understood what it meant to me to do the things that I do until getting around people like you and Paul and, other people that I've met in the online community and in other networking opportunities and things like that. And it just, it hits you hard the first time. And so anybody out there, if you've had your first time recently of knowing your why, God, that sounds bad, but I love it. But just understand that you're not alone. There's people out there that don't understand what that means, and they dig deep down in their darkest depths of their soul to rip out the things that mean the most to them, and that's how you figure out your why, right?
At the end of the day, man, it is about finding razor sharp clarity, right?
Yep.
It's getting clear on the reasons that you want to do something, which in turn turn around and help you get razor sharp clarity on the what is it that you're going to do to achieve it.
Yeah.
Right. And that can be a bunch of things for a lot of people. Some people, maybe it's just they want to make a bunch of money and that motivates them enough to be their why.
And that's okay.
It's totally okay. That's what makes individuals is our goals are different. Our aspirations are different. The things that we want out of those are different. And that's totally okay. But you need to figure that out for yourself. And, for me, it's about family. And I know for you, it's about family. Yep. And the why is the family. And then the goal is time freedom. So I could spend it with my family in whatever way, shape, or form that manifests itself. Right.
Yep.
And so got a long ways to go.
Yeah, but the journey is the prize, right? And I hear that all the time. I've read it in multiple books. I've heard it from multiple leaders, is that enjoying the time it takes to get there is what really makes the difference. And there's a lot of people out there that just want to go as fast as possible. And it's one of those things that you've got to enjoy that process of transformation and turning into the person that you need to be, so that way when that time comes that you're actually going to fulfill that why. And like in your case, in my case, time freedom to spend it with our kids, we understand how powerful that is and we can appreciate it, versus the people are like, hey, I'm going to go try all these get rich quick things and try to do everything I can to make money. If you don't have a family and money is your deep, dark desire, then absolutely, do that. Which I want to showcase what Paul said here. Yeah. Said the why is everything. White hot burning desire, which Napoleon Hill, great author. That's something that he says in a few of his books. And it's true, right?
That advice is 100 years old, man.
Yeah, exactly. 100-year-old advice right there out of someone who, just a little teaser, someone who's going to be coming up here soon that you'll see his face on here. So I'm really excited.
Napoleon Hill?
No, not Napoleon Hill.
Oh, okay.
Paul, no. We should do that. We should be like, yeah, we're bringing on Napoleon Hill. And
no, we shouldn't do that. Yeah, right.
That'd be hilarious. God. But yeah, so I think that having the desire to get what you want is the first step to your why, right? But then how do you go deeper?
Man, you gotta know him well.
Paul does know him well. Know him well. It would be close. He really does. I've been in some of those morning calls that he's got, and he knows his Napoleon Hill. That's for sure.
That's what's up.
But yeah, so how do you go deeper on, you've got your desire, right?
Well, it's impact. To me, it's about impact. Like what kind of impact are you trying to create? What are the deeper questions you can ask yourself more than the surface level stuff? Yeah, it'd be great to spend time with your family, but why? Is it great to spend time with your family? For me, it's about creating an impact for my kids. My kids are young. My kids are young. I want to be able to spend the time with them to be able to provide a meaningful impact in their young lives to grow up to be amazing adults that contribute well to society, that are loving and caring and kind and respectful and compassionate, yet also strong and
for sure
and focused, and whatever other adjectives I can think of. But it takes intention to be able to help shape a human, It takes so much intention, and unfortunately, it also takes, unfortunately or fortunately, it takes time. But it takes time for everything. So you got to be balanced. But those are the goals, right? To give them more time, which is something I'll never get back, and they'll never get more of it with me.
Well, and that's the thing too, is, whenever I hear somebody that says that their goal is money, right? And the thing that I always worry about is like, we can always get more money, but what is it that they can't get more of that they need to appreciate, need to have that appreciation of throughout their life? If somebody just wants money, well, what do you want to do with that money? And the best way I've heard it is when you're thinking about what is your why. And I did this for myself, and I'll kind of run through it quickly, but I think of the words, so what, right? So when you say, well, my why is I want to create time freedom. And it's like, okay, so what?
So does everybody. Why should I care,
everybody.
right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like big whoop. Everybody else does. So what about it? And then it's like, okay, so I want to create time freedom so I can spend more time with my family. Okay, so what? Everybody wants to spend more time with my family, or your family, or whatever. At least
I want to spend more time with your family, Josh.
And I want to spend more time with yours too, buddy. But the thing is like, then it's like, so what? What is important about that? Well, I want to be a positive influence in my kids' life. I want to be a positive influence in my wife's life, and even our connected family, right? Is just be able to have the time to be in their lives and influence and impact them to be better human beings. It's not, for me, it's not just about the kids, but it's about everybody we spend time with. Jim
Well,
Rohn says,
that's all valuable to them too,
right?
But it's valuable to you.
Right,
It's like
exactly.
There's a little selfishness that's in there. You get a lot of things from spending time with a lot of different people,
right? And like Jim Rohn says, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if I'm spending a lot of time with my wife and my kids, I want to be as much of a positive influence in their lives. And it's like, okay, so what? And it's like, wait a minute, there's more. And, you dig down deeper and it goes, well, yeah, there is more, because I want my kids to be able to grow up knowing that they can accomplish anything in their lives, that they have unlimited potential.
Well, what's really meta about that is the time, like part of your why is to spend that time with them to help them discover the journey of their why.
Absolutely.
And
100%.
it's kind of inceptionist, if that's a word, right? On itself,
yeah. Right. Well, and that's
what's cool. And that's what's so terrifyingly amazing about being a dad or a parent, is shaping that for your kids, and trying to be thoughtful and sharing those lessons and the timing of it. Because my kids are young, and sometimes I talk about things that are probably way too over their head.
Like talking to your 7-year-old about the inner voice in his head.
I know, that's crazy. I did, but but it was, I thought, impactful at the time.
It was,
I'm sure it was. I think he got it.
He got most of it, I'm sure, or at least some of it. But
he got some of it. Just that he has the ability to decide how he's going to feel,
right.
And that he has a choice.
Yeah, and that right there, that word choice. I want my kids to have the choice, or have the ability to have the choice, right? Like, I want them to choose between going to school or getting a job or starting a business, instead of being forced to go to school because they don't have a choice, because they can't start a business or they can't get a job yet. Because, like, I was just reading an article, and I'm not going to get too off in the weeds here, but I was just reading an article about how,
isn't that what this show is about?
Right. Yeah. We go off in the bushes, but they were saying that in all of the US, all 50 states, it is actually impossible to have a 2-bedroom apartment with both families working minimum wage, 40 hours a week.
Yeah,
with two parents working minimum wage, it is impossible to afford a 2-bedroom apartment, because the minimum living wage, I think the cheapest was in Nebraska, and it was like 13 something an hour. Now, yes, I know minimum wage is $7.25, but what they're talking about is, in order to have a livable wage. You have to have so much money in this country. And the hard part is that kids are forced to stay at home and go to work, or stay at home and go to school, because they don't have that choice. And part of my why is to give my children the ability to choose how they want their life to play out. And that's kind of where it gets down to the deepest part, where when someone said, "What's next?" And I said, there really isn't anything next after that, because now that I've gotten down to the root of what the problem is I want my kids to have the abilities that I did not, but not in a way of like, I want them to have all the luxuries and buy them stuff and whatever, but have the ability to choose their path without feeling regretful. Like, between my wife and I, and I'll be transparent here, we've got $90,000 in student loan debt. I don't want my kids to have to worry about that. I don't want my kids to have that looming over their head because they made the choice to go pursue their dreams. And whoever out there, I'm not going to, point fingers, but somebody decided that we're going to give you money and, say, here, go do this thing to be in the working class, but you're going to be in debt for the rest of your life unless you make a ridiculous amount of money to pay it off. And so that's all part of that why is I want the time to shape them, but also the money to give them the ability to choose their future. And
I want to be able to teach them how to create multiple streams of income so they don't have to worry about those things, right? That's like the ultimate when you talk about online business, or really, and let's like throw online business out of it, because multiple streams of income includes things like dividend income
anywhere,
two jobs, two jobs in a household, that's all kind of compounds together, but I want them to understand that you make money to buy more income from other streams and compound it over time to give yourself the ability to have that time freedom and to choose how you want to live your life.
Yep.
That's kind of a lot of word salad, but I've been following this dude over on Twitter for a long time, Chris Johnson, and he says, make money, buy income.
Yep.
That's his mantra. True. It totally is. And when you simplify it, like that's what put your money to work. You put your money to work, man. And then why are you doing that? Because it makes more money. Why do you need money? So that you have time freedom, so you don't have to trade time for money for the whole rest of your entire life.
And that's something seeing my dad, and I love where he's at right now in his life. And he's kind of an empty nester. My youngest brother's away in the military, and but my dad still works a full-time job, and he's in his 50s and late 50s, I guess now, and he's getting to the point where he's thinking about what's it going to be like in retirement here in the next 10 to 15 years. And I'm like, whoa, like 10 to 15 years, dude, you're in your 50s. Like, you should be looking at in the next 5 years at the most. And he's like, I don't have the financial stability to be able to afford living for enough time afterwards, that he's got to work longer. Now, part of that is some things that happened earlier in life that caused some of these situations, marital things and whatever, that I won't get into because it's not my story to share. But, seeing how he lives, where, he's got money now, he's not taking care of 6 kids under one roof and a deadbeat wife and all that stuff. But, he's got all these things that are going for him now, and he's starting to realize what's important in his life. And he's spending more time with his grandkids, which is, he comes and spends time with my kids all the time. And, he's coming over this weekend for our barbecue that we're having. And, he's like, I'm bringing watermelon and baked beans. We're going to come hang out and have fun. And he'll be the first one to show up.
You guys went to a Sweet concert together the other weekend?
Yeah. We went to Billy Idol together, and, and we went to hung out at the state fair. He got his meat on a stick. He had a pork chop on a stick. Like, but it's cool to see him open up like that, but he never got to do that. And why? It's because he followed the plan that somebody else laid out for him. He followed the plan that society said, this is what you should do. And yeah, he's passionate about what he does, but now it's getting to the point where that passion has dwindled off, because when you do the same thing for 30 years, you know, if you don't have a burning desire for that thing, you're going to lose interest.
Mm-hmm.
And so the why doesn't just include what you're doing for, like, why you're doing what you're doing. It's also the premise for what you are actually doing. You know, why do you do what you do? Do you like it? Do you enjoy it? Do you have the ability to wake up in the morning and be excited to go do those things? You know, I'm always excited when my workday ends so I can get into marketing mode. I love creating videos and writing blogs, and you know, I like engaging with people on social media, but it's become a cluster. And so I've removed myself from a lot of that lately, especially, you know, one of the major big worlds that I won't name because I don't want this video to get shadow banned, but but it's I love that aspect of things. And so that burning desire to want to help other people through marketing and also create a better life for my family, there's nothing better.
You said it earlier when we were talking before the show about giving without any intention of receiving, right? And so when you can do that as part of your why as well,
Yep.
you know, you're able to give back into a person, or give back into your kids, or you know, whatever that may be.
Or
but
community.
That's a power, or community. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I you know, that's something that is super powerful. You know, think of the impact you can have when you can give something away that multiple people can consume and learn from and grow from, and being able to say, hey, I did that. And not because I'm like, hey, look at me, but it's more of like, I did that because I saw that people needed that, and
you took action.
And I took action, and I put something out there that resolves a problem, that creates a solution to people's problems. And now I'm just waiting, right? There's no expectation. I'm not waiting for something to come to me. I'm waiting for someone to go, hey, could you also add this in? And I go, absolutely. And next thing you know, another video is getting created, another blog's getting written, you know, whatever, because that's what happens, right? We want people to give us ideas, but we also want to, you know, you got to know what people want. And so it helps, but it's that the only expectation I've ever had is that people will consume my content. That's it.
Well, that it's enjoyable enough to be consumed. Gotta give that nightly hug. Yeah, buddy.
So yeah, when that there you go. See, and this is something that that's a non-negotiable for me, is if any of my kids come down and they're getting ready for bed and they're, you know, saying, hey, I want to get a hug, good night, like, I don't, you know, obviously be like, all right, bye, you know, gotta go. It's more of like, okay, hold on 1 second. Let me take the, you know, he's 13. So his hugs are like, done, you know, but he still does. And it's because I've created that ability for them to just do it whenever they want. But
I think that's important.
yeah. But anyways, so
we were talking about giving without receiving. I mean, and part of that, like when we introed the show here today, we talked about additional whys into why we even created this podcast,
mm-hmm.
right? And it is to give back and just teach on, or talk about the things that we're learning, that we've gone through the journey here on creating additional streams of revenue, on the skills that we learn over time, right? How that impacts ourselves and others, like, and to be able to share that is pretty cool, you know.
Yeah.
And if that helps just one person, it was worth spending, you know, all these nights just chatting it up with you, you know, and like the 5 people that listen.
Yeah, the 5 people, or in some cases the 1 person that pops on. But that's, you know, and this is a good testament to the fact of doing something with no expectation in return, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're out here, and to put it in perspective for a lot of people that maybe you see 0 viewers, you know, right now I'm looking up at the at the counter and it says 0 viewers right now, but that flips up, it's just 3, sometimes 5, sometimes 1, but you don't do it for that, right? You don't do it for the viewer count. You don't do it for the likes, the comments, the shares, whatever. What you do it for is the impact that you create in those people's lives. And I bet, there's somebody that will watch this later on, whether it's on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook profile or through our podcast, that they're going to hear this and go, wow, I really needed that today. And that's why we do this. And that's why we created this in the first place. I mean, our conversation that you and I had right away was centered around how can we take what we know already and take our journey and put that into something that can be consumed at a high level, but also that can help people. And if something comes of it, great. If not, we're still going to do it. It's not like we're going to go, well, we made 5 episodes and we didn't make a penny, so we're done. Like, no, we're doing this for the impact it creates in the world. And it shows today. We had that call with, one of our future interviewees that's, going to be on the show here later next month. And he reached out to us for a reason. And it's not because we promised him, these delusions of grandeur and be like, we're going to do all these things for you and your book and all this stuff. It's more of,
that was the connection that was made, man.
Yeah.
It was a connection that was made. And we're kind of at this little intersection of just being dads and then finance and business. And it's an interesting path.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting path in the way that we talk about. We don't really get too much into hustle culture or something of that nature. Like, we talk about balance and the why, right? Like, you could have these whys, but if you don't remember them throughout your journey and actually act on being present for your family, if that is in fact your why, or or spending time on your why while you're in the journey, like, what are you actually doing? You just, you're just putting it, you're putting your life off, or you don't actually care about those things. You have a different why,
That's a really good point too, right? Maybe,
yeah, hitting yourself otherwise.
Yeah, maybe it's not that you are a terrible person. Some people, I've talked to people that are like, oh, I don't have a great why, and so I'm a terrible person for that. No, it's not that you have to have this elaborate why. Maybe what you thought was your why isn't truly what it is.
And it can shift over time. You're human, you grow.
Yeah.
You grow.
I'll tell you what, my initial why was not about my family. When I first got started as an entrepreneur years and years ago, all I saw were dollar signs. I didn't have kids at that time. My first ever endeavor back in 2005, selling meat door to door, frozen packages of meat, laying them out on people's doorsteps and hoping they'll buy. That wasn't because I was wanting to spend time with my kids or wanted to spend time with my wife or whatever. I wanted to make money. And actually at that time we weren't even married. We were just dating, and I wanted to make money. And as time went on and I got more into the entrepreneurial world and understood what it meant to be a man, what it meant to be a husband, a father, a dad, because you can be a father and still not be a dad. Let's be real.
That's
here.
For damn sure.
but what it meant to be all of that stuff really changed perspective, and that's okay. It's okay to sit down. I'll be honest. I sit down probably about, I don't know, once every couple months, and I go through and I write everything out again, because if it's not on paper, it's not going to happen. And so I always write everything out again, and I read it back to myself and I say, does this still feel the way it felt when I first wrote it?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is not a resounding yes, then I contemplate on it. I think, what do I need to do to make that more impactful?
I can see you. I can just envision you pondering, yeah.
Stroking the beard. So it's better when it's a little bit longer, because then I can actually grab some of it. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's no right or wrong way. It's what way works for you. And, we talk about the title of this is, what your why says about you. And it says a lot, actually. It talks about the kind of person you are. If you're a parent and a spouse and a friend, a mentor, whatever, and your why is purely just to be filthy rich and drive nice cars and have nice houses, that can say a lot about who you are as a person. But if it's just a matter of you haven't dug deep enough yet, then that's okay. Don't be afraid to reach out and, be like, hey, how do I dig deeper? I don't know how to do this. Because I'll tell you what, even if it's not us, there's plenty of people out there that can easily help you understand how to unlock those inner feelings and get into those depths of your soul and understand what it is that you believe your mission and purpose is in life.
That's well said, man. That is well said. It's an interesting conversation that you have with yourself when you talk about, dig deeper.
Mm-hmm.
How do you dig deeper? Sometimes it's hard to answer. I don't know that I could articulate it that well, but it's kind of like, what's the next step? Really, is I want to spend time with my kids. Well, why do you want to spend time with your kids? What's that step?
Yep.
You want to make more money. Well, why do you want more money? What's that step?
Yep.
And then you just peel back the layer of the onion, and what's the next right thing that you would do until you get to something that's a little bit more substantial.
I heard something really cool recently, and it kind of goes along the peeling back the layers of the onion. And somebody said that the onion is a terrible representation of layers of ourself, right? Because the minute you start peeling an onion, it causes tears, right? And it causes pain, and it which sometimes it can, right? If you start peeling back layers of yourself, you might find some areas that you didn't realize existed, and you'd be like, wow, that hurts,
Mm-hmm.
But someone said, we should, there at the middle of the onion, there's nothing there as a reward, right? It's just more onion. Where he said we should think of ourselves like an artichoke, where you have leaves that you peel away to get to the heart. And each leaf that you peel away has a little bit you can bite off and chew. That little base of the leaf, if you've ever had an artichoke, and you dip it in something, you take a bite, you scrape it on your teeth and get that little bit of meat, and you throw it aside. And that's kind of what you got to do when you're really digging deep into yourself to figure out what it is that you believe in and what you believe that your why should be, is start peeling off those leaves like an artichoke and be like, all right, chew on that one for a little bit. No, that's, like that's this thing. I'm going to set this off to the side. And then when you get down to the middle of it, you get that nice heart. It's got the little feathery things, and it's purple and green and whatever. And it's the softest, sweetest, most savory part of the artichoke. It is the most sought after part of the artichoke. And there's people that will even peel all the leaves off and just go right for the heart,
Mm-hmm.
because it is the most prevalent part of that. I guess it's a vegetable. And so think about that for yourself. As they said, instead of thinking like an onion where you're just peeling back unlimited layers of onion, think like an artichoke. The leaves on the outside are bigger because what people see is what's most impactful. The leaves on the inside are thinner and smaller because they're more close to your heart and more of, what you feel. And then once you can uncover the heart and hold it in your hands and go, this is who I am. This is exactly what I am destined to be. This is my mission, my purpose, my meaning in life. That's when you found your why. So yeah.
Damn. That was amazing. I've never actually heard that analogy before, but I really like it.
It's just a different view on just kind of who we are as people and how we peel back those layers and how we uncover those parts of ourselves that are just hidden away under these thick shell of things. It's even like the coconut, right? The coconut has the water on the inside that has no strength to it whatsoever, but it's protected by that hard outer coating. There's so many things out there that you can have analogies for this, but
for sure.
But yeah.
So that all brings it back to like vulnerability for me. Everybody has these protective walls that are up and these hard shells or whatever, but to get to the true essence of a person, you have to be vulnerable with yourself. You have to be vulnerable with, a friend or whomever. And a lot of people conflate vulnerability and weakness, and that's just not what it is.
No,
it's having a better understanding of who you are, and there are parts of you that like just pull out so much emotion. People have gone through different experiences, and you've had these different things that happen to you, or these different challenges that you have to go through, and they're all different for each and every one of us, right? And that's all part of what shapes us and drives us, and whatever else, and so that vulnerability and getting to that heart of your artichoke in your example is, I think, vulnerability is the path to that, to be able to get there. And that kind of what you said with the true essence of what your why is.
Yeah. And that's the whole reason why we do those things, is to figure out who we are. We want to figure out, that's why, again, back to the title of the episode, what your why says about you. It's, once you figure that out, you start understanding who you are as a person.
Well, and that can be scary, because you do have to burn off some dead wood to get to that.
Yep.
You do.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those walls and things and layers are built up as some sort of protective mechanism so that you don't get hurt, or that, or whatever fear that you may have. And as like what we talk about, getting past fears and getting on the other side of those fears, or getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like, that's where growth happens, but that's also where understanding of who you are happens in order to find that growth.
Yeah, it's kind of choking me up a little bit too, because it makes me think about, the times that I've had to cut ties. I've had to take leaps into different parts of my life and leave people behind, and
those are hard choices, but ultimately you're responsible for you. And sometimes you got to make the choice to leave those people behind so you can become the best version of yourself.
Yep. And it's not easy. And for anybody out there who's ever had somebody tell them that it's easy, you should punch them right in the throat, because I'll tell you what, like, it is not easy to uncover those things that really mean the most to you, and then realize that there's certain parts of yourself, certain parts of your community, certain parts of even your family that you literally just have to let go, because they will weigh you down and prevent you from becoming your true self. And I think that's truly the hardest part of determining who you are, so you can get to your why, so you can get to the next part of your life, is taking off the baggage without losing yourself in the process. And that's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Getting married, having kids, switching jobs, being in a high position in the corporate world, all these things, all of that work combined has no comparison to what it takes to truly break through those, what I call them, paper brick walls, right? You're staring at that brick wall, and the courage it takes to push through and break through that, it's unmatched. And the strength that it takes to do that is crazy, but it's worth it. And you will find out exactly who you are, and you will realize that you have a path, and that path has been laid in front of you, and you have to choose to take it. And that's
for certain. You do have to make that choice.
Yeah.
You have to make a choice, and it's unfortunate that some people make that choice for you or force you to make that choice. It's really unfortunate when you hear people talk about how unsupportive certain people are in their life, friends they may have for years, and like just the jealousy that could be bred, or when you choose to make that jump to better yourself, and because they just can't quite understand why you don't want to still be stuck in that hole, and that you're choosing to elevate yourself, and all they want to do is like crabs in a bucket, pull you back down. Like, it's unfortunate that those things really exist, and that that all people can't just be supportive for the choices that you try to make. But that having the ability to choose to leave that situation and find other people, because they're out there, that can be, on your side, that can be part of that circle that you talk about leveling up, where like iron sharpens iron type mentality,
Yep.
right? Similar mindsets, like that's out there. And when you find that, like that, the just kind of your mindset and who you are, like exponentially take off. And then you can find how your whys shape in a little bit of a different way when you see others that are of like-mindedness, and just kind of see how that takes your journey in just such a different direction.
Yeah. And here's my buddy Otto popping in. What's up, brother?
Yeah. What's up, man?
Yeah. And the thing is he's a good example. Is he's been around our life for many, many years. And he's one who's done a lot of that for himself. He figured out who he was. He figured out, who he's meant to be, and what his path is, and what his purpose and mission in life is. And he's a very different person today, and figuratively and literally, just because he has changed his entire life to become his true self. And it didn't happen overnight, guys. Like, understand this, none of this stuff happens in one night of sitting down. I talk about every couple months writing down my why, and reflecting on it, and understanding what it takes to still live up to that.
Dude, life's a journey, and it's never gonna it doesn't stop till you're done.
No, it doesn't.
And there is going to take you on different twists and turns, and like you only see it all when you look backwards.
And if you're looking backwards, you're not moving forward. And that's the difficult part too. Is it's okay to glance, but it's not okay to sit there and stare and think about like what could have been if I took that other road. What could have been if I made that other choice.
That's futile, man. You can't do that.
Yeah,
you cannot.
You're gonna find the biggest challenges are going to come when you're reinventing yourself and going down the path that you're meant to go on. That's where you're going to encounter your biggest challenges, but for a reason, right? Is you get tested. You're going to get tested to make sure that you've got what it takes to go down that path.
Let's full circle back to kind of where you started our conversation tonight. Was, the part of, or maybe that was in a conversation earlier,
maybe.
But talking about your journey, part of what goes on, or part of it is the journey, right? That's where the lessons are learned. Sorry, I'm kind of choking over myself.
Yeah, no, you're good. The journey is the prize, man.
The journey is the prize. There you go.
Yep. Yeah, that's honestly the fantastic part about being on this journey, and for you and I being here and doing this out of really just the goodness of our heart, right? We didn't start it to be some big shot. Now, if it happens, it happens, but that's not the goal, right? The goal is to create an impact. But
the goal is impact, right? And what a lot of people don't talk about is leadership, and servant leadership, which this dude Patrick Lencioni says it's the only type of leadership there is, servant leadership. So he's like, I don't know why we say servant leadership when that's just the definition of leadership.
Yeah.
But anyway, you got to listen to his podcast for that.
Right.
But it's true, and it takes servant leadership in your life to get to the places that you want to go. You have to give without any intention of receiving, and then ultimately you end up where you want to be.
Well, what I am really looking forward to is I can't wait for the day when my kids can go, hey, you know, that's my dad, and be proud of that statement.
For sure.
You know, and be able to like, this is what my dad's done, you know, all the things that we can put through in our lives and the things that we can do with the time that we have on this earth. You know, when my great grandkids are, you know, playing around by then, who knows, maybe they'll be in you know, jetpacks and, you know, spacesuits flying around in the atmosphere. But, you know,
little Jetsons-esque.
Right, little Jetsons-esque, but you know, whatever they're doing, I want somebody to be able to look back and go, hey, do you remember great grandpa Josh, you know, and his podcast with his buddy Kyle, like, oh, we should dig those tapes up or whatever, you know, we should dig those hollow tapes up, you know, and you know, pop them in the.
There's a little bit about legacy that's in there, man.
Yeah, right. But that's just it, right? Is that's goes into the why of why do you do what you do, and what kind of person does that make you? And I believe that if you have a solid why, you are passionate about it, you have a burning desire to achieve it, and you understand that it's going to take hard work and perseverance and consistency, then that shows that you are the kind of person that is going to make a positive impact in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, for sure. You know, you got to be able to be the change that you want to see.
Yep.
Right. And so that sort of mentality is the same way I view raising my kids, you know, as they see just about everything that you do. So did you make them proud?
Yep.
You know, did you make them proud? So that's kind of a little driving a little bit more deep into the why for me too.
Yeah. And I know ours is similar, and I think that's why we connected so well too.
Yeah.
You know, is that it's very much about making sure that we have a positive life for our kids. But, you know, and like I said, it's for our wives too. You know, it's not just.
Yeah, it's not just for our kids, it's our entire family.
Right. It's to show that we
again,
can
that goes,
have the life that we deserve.
Yeah. For me, again, it goes all the way back to time freedom. And it's not just time freedom for my kids. It's time freedom to spend that time with my wife. Mm-hmm. Time freedom to spend it with my brothers and my sister, you know, my parents.
Yeah.
You know, time freedom to spend it with my wife's family. And believe it or not, we have a great relationship.
Yeah. Well, and you've even got a pretty, and I don't want to, you know, obviously drag it on too far, but you've got kind of a pretty cool, I guess I call it cool because I think it's awesome that you and your siblings work together at this. But I mean, you've got an interesting family situation, a dynamic that requires a little bit extra attention than most people don't have to deal with in their life.
Sure. And this is kind of the norm for us. But anyway, one of my younger brothers has Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and he's in a wheelchair. He's been in a wheelchair since he's 12. He's 32 now. You know, and that's out kicking the coverage for somebody with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. When he was first diagnosed, his lifespan was supposed to be 21 max, you know. And so anyway, like we all pitch in to help my parents out from time to time. We're not saints. We're there for our brother, you know, and we're there for our parents. It takes a lot out of it being a parent of somebody with special needs. And I can't necessarily speak to that because I'm not a parent of one. My brother is, and I see what my parents go through. That's hard, you know. Mm-hmm. Like there's high divorce rates in this country anyway, and when you look at statistics about divorce rates for parents with special needs, are even higher. Because the stress level is just crazy. And when you have a kid that never leaves the roost because he can't, you know, that's I hate to say it like this, but it's a ball and chain for them. They have to
Mm-hmm.
know who's going to help Troy, so that whenever they want to do something. And that's like not even close to a burden for me or my brothers or my sister. We're there in a heartbeat. And my kids, you should see the bond that they have with my brother.
That's awesome.
Their Uncle Troy in the wheelchair. They get wheelchair rides. It's cool. And my kids have a special bond with that. And it's, there's a whole nother dynamic that goes into that. But like, anyway, just being to have the ability to give, because there's definitely no receiving on that end.
No.
from like a physical standpoint. But what's interesting though is like you do end up getting back more than you could ever know. Like I volunteered when I was a kid. I say a kid. When I was 18, I volunteered at they had these camps for all the kids with muscular dystrophy, and Troy's 4 years younger than me. And so I was his camp counselor, and we just hung out and stuff. But the attitudes that some of these kids had that were dealing with a circumstance that you can't really know, having the physical ability that you're supposed to have not be there for you, and just to see still how they push through and persevere, and they don't sweat the small stuff. And it just it teaches you a lot about self. It teaches you a lot about the things that life bring you can be much, much worse. And if you got a pretty poor attitude about it, like just look at some of these kids and what can they teach you. So in fact, you do give in the terms of me helping my brother, but you get all these things back that you wouldn't necessarily expect. And that kind of shapes you as a person and shapes your overall whys about what you want to teach, what you want to teach your kids, or what you want to teach others, or what you want to give back to others, or the example that you want to show and be, so
yeah,
it's an interesting perspective.
It is. And that was, kind of the reason why I brought it up, once you mentioned that, and I was like, talking about that, it humbles me a lot, because I don't have to deal with that with any of my family. I don't have anybody that's, any sort of special needs or anything like that. But
I say special needs just to kind of get like the audience to understand,
right,
the wheelchair or whatever, but he's just my brother.
Right. And that's the point that I wanted to make, is like, he's your brother, and to you, that's what he is. He's not some guy on the bus that's in a wheelchair and has to, be in the way while everybody's trying to get off, and you have to wait for him to get off the thing, whatever. If you're on the bus with your brother, it's like, all right, waiting for my brother to get off the bus. Like the thought process is different. But what that does is, like you said, it rewarded you with growing up with him being in a situation that was beyond his control. I personally think, and I know you've mentioned this to me before, that it gives you a new appreciation on the things that you have. And then it makes it that much more impactful when you can have the ability to, like, instead of splitting the time between siblings, maybe that's Kyle saying, hey, I'll just, I'll be there because I don't have to work. I don't have to, like, that's the thing, is you'll have a lot more of that ability. And that's, I know we talked about this the other night, that all loops into your why of family and being there for
for sure, man. And like when you talk about, so here's just a quick story about it. When you talk about your kids, right? And earlier we were talking about how you want to set a good example and make sure you're teaching them valuable lessons so they can be, good humans, right?
Right.
And so part of that relationship that I was talking about with my oldest son and my brother, it really is special. But anyway, we were talking in the car the other day when I was taking him to school, and he says to me, Dad, what's the age difference between you and all your brothers? And he was like trying to put it all together or whatever. And then out of nowhere, he's like, Dad, what is going to happen to Troy if Grandpa and Gigi die? And I said, well, buddy. And before I could even answer, he goes, is he going to come live with us? I said, well, yeah, you definitely would come live with us. He's like, I knew it. I knew it. And then he goes, at least he's going to be with part of his family, you know?
That's awesome.
And I mean, I'm just kind of speechless because the conversation was out of the blue,
Right.
but the message was there. It's, you know, family is super important, and you need to be there for them, ups, downs, and different. And that would be a world changing type of event for us, you know, but that's what you do is you step up and you do the things that need to be done. And, you know, when you, and sometimes that takes sacrifice, and sometimes it takes other things, but, you know, you want to show your kids, you want to teach them about things like compassion and caring and kindness, and to see that kind of come out in that little 7-year-old way, you know, in the car ride, you feel like you're doing something right.
For sure.
And when you can have those moments over time, it really hammers home. Yeah, I'm doing these things for the right reasons, or at least I'm doing something right.
Right.
You know.
No, you're hitting the nail on the head there. And again, that goes back to what does that say about you as a person? Well, your why is about family, and family is everything. And so when you think about, you know, does your why shape you as a person? Absolutely. You know, it definitely does. And you will find out.
Shapes others too, buddy.
It shapes others. It does. And that's the whole thing.
That's the impact that you leave.
And I was watching a video. It was just a random one. It wasn't anything specific, but it was a dad having his son throw a rock into this lake was glass, and he threw the rock, and he says, okay, now look at all the ripples, right? And he goes, now that rock was a good deed you did. Now look at how far out those ripples go. And he said, now take this other rock. And he gave him a rock that was about the size of his hand. And he threw it in, and it made a bigger splash and bigger ripples. And he goes, now that was something bad you did. Now here's the thing. Same ripples, same amount of wake that it had an effect. But the immediate splash was bigger. And he said, now throw a bigger rock. And he goes, okay. And he throws this big rock, and he can barely throw it, but he gets it in the water. And it, like, the wake actually makes the waves crash against the shore, and like they're going out forever. The splash was huge. He goes, now that's when you did something majorly impactful in somebody's life. You did something so good that the splash was great, but think of the effort it took you to throw that giant boulder into the giant rock into the lake. But then look at what it did up in shore. Waves were crashing into shore. You were creating this impact along the way. And that's exactly what happens is when you have that why, you are choosing, especially when your why is in a positive manner. Obviously, most people that we're talking about here, let's be real, you're probably not going to be like, my why is to have a bunch of money so I can buy a bunch of guns and go shoot up a bunch of places. Like, that's probably not going to happen. Well, just saying, you know, like those kinds of whys probably don't exist in this world, because that's not what people think about, right? But when your why is something in a positive nature, those ripple effects go forever. Every good thing you do is always out there. And if you're compounding good thing over good thing, then you're just continuing to create that impact and create that ripple effect. And it's unlimited potential.
Love it, man.
But anyways, I just realized we crossed the hour mark.
We're at an hour.
So let's wrap
it up
in a while. So, but yes, I guess key points. Number one, peel back those layers, figure out who you are, figure out what your why is, figure out, deep down what it means. Like we talked about, use the phrase, so what, against yourself. When you come up with a thing and you say, well, I want more time and more money. Okay. So what? Why is that important?
What's next? Why? Yeah. Why?
Yep.
Why?
And
keep asking
why what I always say in the troubleshooting world and in the tech world is, is drill that down to the void. Get to a point where you can't think of anything else that's important about that thing. And that's the deepest part of your why. But that whole trail is your full why. So it would be something like, I want more time and money so I can spend time with my kids, because it's important for me to be a positive impact in their lives, because I want them to be better human beings and grow up to be, respectable people, because I believe that they have a greater purpose in this world than just being part of society.
Look what you did there.
So there's an example
Drill
for
down,
you guys.
drill down. Love it, man.
So cool. Well,
Next time, dude, we got an interview.
We do.
We got 3 interviews lined up for sure.
For sure. And 2 more in the wake.
2 more in the wake.
So, and this next one's going to be kind of cool, because we're actually, and I don't know if we've confirmed if it's going to be both of them on, but it's a father-son duo that's kind of coming up here. And so it'd be kind of cool if he brings his boy on, and we'll be able to get them both on live with us. But it's a really cool story. I'm excited for you guys to be able to experience that. So that's going to be on August 29th. Okay, that's a Sunday. It's going to be in the afternoon. It's going to be a weird time for us. We've never done a Sunday afternoon show. So kind of a weird deal, but it's going to be 1 p.m. Central Time on Sunday, the 29th. So come back around that time, hang out with us, say hello to Jeffrey. We're just gonna hint at that. We're not gonna give too much away, and you'll see some things come out the week before. But otherwise, any closing thoughts, my man?
Just drill down on that why. Just keep drilling down. Go deeper.
Figure out who you are.
Figure it out so that you can turn around and be the impact, be the change that you want to see.
Awesome. Well, love you, brother. Love you all.
Love you too.
We will see you guys next time.
See y'all.